those raindrops keep falling on my head. And just like the guy whose feet is too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops keep falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun. And I said I didn't like the way he got things done, sleeping on the job. Those raindrops keep falling on my head, they keep falling. But there's one, you got it. Pretty good. Let's watch it.
Okay, let's begin. We're going to begin. Okay, thanks for coming along to Poet's Heart. On behalf of Angela Stretch, who can't make it today, just welcome you all. Angela has a residency here. She's had it for about 12 weeks. Residency means that she hangs around the place. She invites people to come here and she interviews them. The idea is that they read a poem, a contemporary Australian poem. They don't have to be poets, they can be any kind of visual artist, photographer, who else have we had? Gallery owners. And today it's great to welcome my very good friend Alex Wisser. Alex is a photographer, writer, a gallery co-director of Index. Have I left anything out?
No, that's good.
Alex, just a brief kind of, you're from America. How did you find yourself here in Sydney?
I came to Sydney 18 years ago. I was living in Manhattan in the Lower East Side in a squat. And I met an Australian woman and we fell in love. Well, we got married first and then we fell in love. As you do. And I think I impregnated her on the first night. We're pretty sure that's what happened. And yeah, so she was pregnant and we were in love. And we decided, you know, we'd come back here because everybody I knew that grew up in Manhattan was completely insane. So we didn't think that was a great place to raise a kid. Right. I wanted to go to university, so you know, this seemed like a pretty good place to do it. And so we came over and been here ever since.
Well, I'm glad you did because I've stayed here.
Yeah.
To a chance to befriend you and
exactly.
Enjoy your company on many occasions.
Yeah.
Now, today have you chosen what poem have you chosen and why?
So this is a poem I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wrote this 11 years ago. So before I did, you know, began doing the things that I'm doing now, which is mostly visual art. I was a poet for 20 years. So when I was in New York, I was a poet. I was writing poetry and calling myself a poet. Yeah, so and I did that for 20 years, and about 7 years ago, I guess, I decided that, you know, it wasn't really working for me as an art form, and so I quit. Okay, you know.
How do you quit being a poet?
I've been asked.
Your license to the poetry club, or?
It's kind of a strange transition because I mean the reason I quit was I wasn't writing, and so I said, well, if you're not writing, then don't call yourself a poet. And so yeah, so you know, it's really more you just quit the active, the behavior. It's an AA sort of thing, you know. You just deal with the symptoms, not the cause. But this is a poem I wrote. Yeah, I wrote 11 years ago, and I got published in a local magazine and stuff. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So just a little bit of explanation. This poem's called "The Widow's Nest," and a widow's nest is a little balcony sits on top of a house. In the States, it's usually in whaling communities, but I know they have them here in Australia as well. And it's basically that the wife of a seaman would go up and sit in this little balcony and watch the horizon for the ship to arrive with her husband. So this is the widow's nest. She sits up there, knitting her fingers for a silk dress that a dead man will bring to her from China. The sunsets and sunrises are beautiful, and she is blind, and the waves of the ocean rise and fall like nodes on the coil of a music box, striking a tune against the sky, which repeats and repeats until it is certain. A song of images, she strings it with her eyes, weaving the beauty of sunsets and sunrises, noting the passage of little ships, which are always the same, like ports passing in the night in a desert of occasional good times. Memory's blue wreck dances beneath this vision, throwing a face onto the water. She married the first captain of the cheapest junk in the South China Sea, and when he sank, she celebrated her wedding by scattering the shredded telegraph like seeds, then sat down without waiting for anything. Her treasure was gone and she was relieved. Now she spreads the surface of the ocean like a net, catching the beautiful scent of men, breathing them in, stealing her dead love from the wind that swells her laundry. Her lovers know her only as a night of troubled dreams that never recur and are quickly forgotten. The surf clutches with its white fingers at her stone toes. It wants revenge. It wants to wreck her land, this lighthouse that spins around itself and sings, because it is afraid, because it is alone, sings a warning and a desolation that is its pride. It waits, singing that it waits for no man.
Now, what was the inspiration? Was there any biographical thing? Have you ever lived in a whaling town or a seaside port?
I actually, when I was young, I lived on a property. It wasn't far from the ocean, but it was completely landlocked. But it had a widow's nest up there, so it was a sort of a story I was told when I was a kid. Yeah.
Because I'm aware that when I lived in Hobart, there's a place called Battery Point, where the ships are repaired, and a lot of the houses, I won't say dozens, but a dozen have these. They're like little. Some of them are like little rooms. They're like little rooms, like little tiny little rooms with,
about
as high as you can
So
get.
the one that I had, it was actually sat on the roof of the building, and it was outside, so it was not an actual room at all, and had a little balcony around it, and they would go up. It'd be a great place to have a cup of tea in the morning.
Sure. And also, as you were reading, I was reminded of Under Milkwood, which I just showed you, how it's all about women mourning the loss of their men at sea.
I was actually reading it and thinking a little bit of The Wasteland. There's the chess game, and a lot of the imagery as well is about this sort of almost a desolated form of relationship. And I think this poem for me is that. It's a kind of a mourning, but it's also a refusal to live, It's so there's this kind of emptiness in it as well.
Could you say recite some lines from The Wasteland?
Yeah.
Off the top of your head? He can do it.
Oh no,
We walked around Surrey Hills late at night.
But it's actually the love song of J.L. from True.
Oh, I thought you were saying. Okay.
So we're not going to listen.
Okay, well thanks very much.
Cheers.
I'd like to hear more.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can ask a question.
And though you said that you stopped writing poetry, you're very good at reading it. Because I think it's quite hard to read.
Yeah, it is really difficult, yeah.
And you did really well.
Thank you very much.
So, will you read more poetry? Even though you don't write anymore, do you enjoy reading?
Would we pay you money? Would you read much?
I do read it occasionally. I don't read it nearly as much as I would like to. I find I've actually I've done it most of my life quite. I've worked really hard at reading poetry, but I find it very hard. There's just a lot of. There's a lot. It's hard to get through a lot of it. It's very obscure, and sometimes it really doesn't come off the page. And even a great poet, you'll be sifting through, and there's going to be, in a whole book of collected poems, there's going to be 12 of them that really sing to you, and the rest of them you have to sort of. So it's not, So, but I still do it. I love to do it, and when I get the chance, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. He does it well. Okay, so thank you very much. Stay tuned next week when Angela will be back to interview Warren Armstrong, who does augmented reality sculptures. So until then, adios.
Amigos.
Did you put us?